Welcome back to SlashBack Cinema, the podcast that usually rewinds the tape to the best horror of the 70s and 80s. I'm Shawnee.
And I'm Ryan. This week we're changing format to cover something hot off the press. This is 2025's The Parenting, a brand new comedy horror from Craig Johnson that channels the chaotic, campy energy that we love.
Dysfunctional families, ancient demons, and an Airbnb. I'm only giving 1 star too. Does The Parenting summon the goods, or should this one just be put back on the video store shelves? Okay. The Parenting. Ryan, you recommended this movie for our podcast. Why would you recommend a movie that came out in 2025 for a podcast about the 70s and 80s?
I know. I don't know what I was thinking. It came on. I think we were watching. Oh, The Righteous Gemstones, and this came up as the next trailer on HBO Max. I watched it. I was like, "What the hell is this?" It has a fantastic cast, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is what we've been watching, but made this past year or this year." Just seems spot on. I'm thinking, hey, let's change up format and review something contemporary. So.
It's a fantastic cast. Yeah, a great suggestion. Lisa Kudrow's in it, Edie Falco, Brian Cox is in it. For a minute, I was like, they hired Brian Cox and he's just going to play generic old dad? That's what I thought when the movie started. Dean Norris is in it. People remember him from Breaking Bad. He's great. Parker Posey's in it. Like, the cast is fantastic. Every single person in it, I thought, nobody phones it in. Everybody knows what movie they're in. They know the tone of this movie. It's a horror comedy, which is our favorite kind of like Gremlins or like Ghostbusters. As soon as I started watching it, I could see what the appeal would be for you and me for our podcast. It definitely seems inspired by like 80s movies. But it's also literally a story that begins in the 1980s. So do you want to start us off, do a little summary?
Yeah, this one's about a young gay couple. They've fallen in love, and Rohan has planned this whole weekend to bring the two families together so they can both meet, Rohan and Josh. And they rent this fantastic Airbnb, this beautiful mansion, gigantic house. But unfortunately, as we mentioned, it had some troubling history in the past, perhaps ancient demons being summoned, and things start to take a turn when they discover the presence of this 400-year-old ancient deity via the Wi-Fi password. We'll talk more about that in a bit.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and it's a hilarious haunted house story. This is an HBO movie, so it's not rated, but it definitely, I think it would be rated R, PG-13. What do you think? It's not super violent.
There's some of the humor and jokes are pretty raw, and there's old man nudity in this one.
I feel like it's references to old man nudity. You don't actually see anything, do you?
Wait, I thought there was one scene where you see his action.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But maybe not.
I might have. Yeah, pull it up. We need to. We need to see if Brian. The guy's name is Brian Cox. So now I'm distracted. All right. Anyway, back to the show.
Moving on. But yeah, yes. Probably R with the humor. One thing we should just say, because it is a contemporary film that we're reviewing, is spoiler alerts ahead. Yeah. So we'll talk about this in detail. So if you don't want to have it spoiled, right, go watch it, then come back.
Did you watch this with any members of your family?
Yeah, Jen and I watched this, and typically I'd say I have to like force her to watch one of these horror films that we pull up and review here on SlashBack, but she was all in on this one. I mean, I think the cast really sold it in, and we watched the trailer, and yeah, she was laughing. She loved it.
Yeah. Yes, Kim and I liked it also. The whole cast is fantastic. And I feel like the movie, it's like 90 minutes. So it feels like it's moving along. There's not a lot of slow scenes or downtime. I felt like the movie does a good job keeping a pace, moving it along. There's either one funny or scary thing after another. Like a lot of horror comedies, it actually starts off, and I kind of got the impression it was going to be scarier than it ended up being.
Right.
Because when you see, there's like a girl's face that you see, and her like mouth has got that, like the Matrix, her mouth is like melted shut.
Covered over, yeah.
And I thought, yikes, this is going to be scary. But after that, the tone of the movie is so comic that nothing really is horrifying. Were there any scenes that really scared you?
They're creepy. The girl that you described, that guy that we'll talk about in a little bit, banging his head against the wall. Like, again, he's another creepy character, but it's the same kind of like covered over mouth. Yeah. I was surprised. I don't know how much you read about this movie or what you looked up, but I had seen the trailer, and then immediately I went to Reddit, and our horror, somebody had recommended it as just being this amazing, super funny horror comedy. But then if you go to IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, it is not well reviewed.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised because based on, and I'm sort of giving away the review, but how much we enjoyed it. But so maybe it's just the horror comedy jam is a small slice of the population that really
Yeah.
appreciates this genre. But
Right now, it looks like it has a Rotten Tomato score of 50%. There's only 22 critics though, so that's pretty small.
yeah,
But yeah, I feel like if you like horror, if you like this podcast and you like the movies we talk about, this one seems like a slam dunk. I'm not saying it's like the greatest movie in the world, but it definitely was entertaining. Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes a head scratcher, and just
Yeah.
I would say one where you can't always trust the critics or the reviews out
hmm
there. So we'll see where the conversation goes.
You know what movie it kind of reminded me of is Krampus. Did you think of that? Like when there's one scene where so one of the guys is planning to propose, and so he invites both sets of parents for the proposal. Both sets of parents are married, by the way. That's right. The movie seems kind of wholesome, like right. There's not like the kind of tension of like step parents or parents that are married but hate each other. They're like a mother, two mothers, two fathers, both of them really support their son. The fact that their kid is gay is not like a major plot point. Like there's not a lot of anxiety about it. The parents make clear that they really love their kids. The kids get along with their families. But of course, like any kids and parents, there's like, parents always drive you crazy. So there's some tension. But there's the first dinner together when they're all together. Both families are there. And it reminded me a little bit of the Krampus dinner, where it's like
Yes.
different families kind of awkwardly trying to communicate, but they don't quite get along. But also, there's additional problems. Like at one point, a demon reaches out and grabs someone's hand, and one guy has taken too many edibles.
Yeah, it's Josh. He instead of just having one, he ate like three or four of them.
Yes, because he's anxious about the families. And so then he's acting really crazy. That scene of tension kind of reminded me of the Krampus scene of family get-togethers.
Absolutely. That had that vibes. There was a little bit of Beetlejuice vibe to it.
Yes.
I thought, and the way they set up the families, they could have just been kind of these stale caricatures of like
hmm
the serious dad and the mom that's too uptight, and then the goofier, loose parents. But they had such a fantastic cast that brought
Yes.
depth and fun to these characters that it never felt stale to me. That even though that was a very kind of done scene where the families come together, there's the awkward tension, but
Right.
him being absolutely stoned and it's not going well, and then they start
hmm
singing and things are great, and then the demon grabs him under the table and then
Yeah.
he freaks out. And then it all goes to hell. Good setup to kind of lead into the whole demonic possession that goes down.
There's a quality that a lot of horror movies have that I really like, which is it takes some anxiety that we have in real life, like anxiety about our bodies or anxiety about relationships, and then externalize it. And so the monster is the symbol of that anxiety. And so the anxiety here is like these families that it's really three families. It's two sets of parents and then these two young guys who are going to start a family, and just the normal kinds of tensions they undergo and how they have to kind of learn to work together to overcome the fact that they're in this haunted house and there's a monster there. There's a lot of little moments of just, I mean, because they're such good actors, they like elevate the material and become really interesting, unique characters. I love the fact that Lisa Kudrow's character is constantly cursing, but then saying, "That's not me. Go fuck yourself. That's not me."
Oh my gosh, it's so many good one-liners in the
Yes.
movie, like when they pull up and they start unloading and then three dogs come running out.
I have to let the dogs out.
What dogs?
Frick, frack, and fuck if I know.
So you want to get to our favorite scenes?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about the first night dinner scene where it kind of
Mhm.
sets up all the tension that we're talking about. And I think you're right, just to underscore that point of those relatable moments. I think anyone that's been in a relationship and the first time parents come together, it is very stressful, and perhaps the person that you were in that relationship is a little bit different once your parents
Right.
show up. You sort of assume roles that you haven't been doing with your partner. That scene was great. There's one scene that I was just dying later on when the demon has manifested in the house
hmm
and there's all the chaos happening. At one point, one of those three little they're like Pomeranian kind of yippy dogs uh
This might be
be-
what I want to talk about.
becomes possessed and it becomes a
Yes.
demon dog and just
Yeah.
starts biting Lisa Kudrow's character Liddy and her husband there's all this drama. They're trying to like deal with the dog. It's just like high antics and chaos, and then eventually Dean Norris is like
I'm gonna stick my finger up its ass. What?
Which is apparently the way you get a dog to stop biting you. The movie is actually teaching us some good, solid information.
It's good information, and that's good dad skills. Even a demonic dog will react to a finger being poked up its butt.
Some of the scenes that made me laugh the hardest, it's actually right after what you just described. I thought, if we describe this on the podcast, we're going to sound psychotic. because if you just hear someone say what happens, it's not funny.
No.
But if you see the way that they put it on screen, they managed to make what happens to these demon dogs pretty hilarious. And nobody wants to see a real dog get injured in any way. But then in this movie, what ends up happening to these dogs is so over the top absurd. It was hard not to laugh. But you have to like this kind of movie. You have to have a little bit of a dark sense of humor. And you have to remember, these are not regular dogs. These are demon dogs.
And to be fair, at the end of the movie, things get resolved in a positive way. So, the demon dogs were dealt with appropriately with,
yes.
Was he using a hammer or was it a meat
It was a
cleaver?
mallet.
A mallet.
Yes. Like one of those crab wooden mallets.
They
on
get
that
tossed
dog.
straight into the oven.
Yes, but it all works out in the end. So people who are worried about the fate of these dogs, don't worry about it. They're going to be fine.
Yeah. PETA, don't call us.
Yes.
We love animals.
And these are demon dogs. I mean, is PETA really supporting demon dogs? If so, what is happening to our country?
Exactly.
Yes, I thought that scene was great. Brian Cox playing the demon, I thought was really fantastic. There's several scenes where the movie really is inspired in part by The Exorcist, which we haven't really done on this podcast.
No.
Right? We did The Omen, but not the other classic 70s.
We'll get to that one. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a classic for sure.
Yeah. They do the Brian Cox like head turns all the way around effect. Also, he's like vomiting up vast amounts of, instead of pea soup, it's like noodles. But it's such a crazy amount of noodles that
Yeah.
it's very comic. It's not super disgusting like it is in The Exorcist. It's just absurd. It looks like a guy just getting hosed down by noodles.
It's like a fire hose that goes on for like a good 3 minutes.
Yes.
Josh is just standing there. He's getting hosed down
This
by
poor
the demon.
actor. That is a tough day at work.
Tough day at work.
It just there's several scenes in this movie that just like reminded me of like high school conversations and hijinks. Like at one point, a character, this is like a very 80s moment where a character is describing what she was like in the 1980s, and she says, "Me and my best friend were dorks." And then she says, "Well, she was a dork and I was a spaz." And I thought, it's like fine wines.
Yes.
What are the subtle differences between a dork and a spaz? I feel like there's only a period of time where people actually worried about such things. It takes somebody who lived through the 1980s in order to know the subtle variations of like a Shiraz versus a Burgundy versus a Merlot.
Yeah.
And I don't know who wrote this movie, but the fact that he's got that level of detail, I feel like this is a guy that understood the 80s.
Kent Sublett was the writer on this one, and Craig Johnson was the director. Yeah. I also felt there's a little bit of Evil Dead vibes in this one too,
Yes.
with the Necronomicon.
Mhm.
They had the book back in the 80s when they originally unleashed the demon. I guess it was Parker Posey's character was friends with the daughter, and they were dabbling with witchcraft, and they accidentally unleashed the demon. But they had this book that was there's a couple of featured moments in the film where they show that book, and it's just like the Evil Dead.
Yes. Also, I like the way that you're right. The movie is inspired by other movies that we liked, but then it also does these little funny, clever twists, like the way that Parker Posey's character has figured out how to get them they have to say this Latin expression to make the demon come. This is such a smart move. And the way that Parker Posey's character comes up with to get the family to repeat the Latin expression is she makes it the Wi-Fi password.
Oh. What's the Wi-Fi?
It doesn't really work.
Just tell me and I'll figure it out.
It's like ego sum tibi something.
Why is it Latin?
What?
It's Latin. It means I give you myself or take me or something.
How do you know Latin?
Because I'm smart.
So everyone in the movie is constantly going, "What's the Wi-Fi password? What's the Wi-Fi password?" And every time they say it, it gets a little closer to bringing the demon out. I thought that was fantastic. All right, we ready to go stabby?
Yeah, let's go stabbies. What do you got?
All right. So I think that this movie with good jokes, good writing, fantastic cast, They're all game to play, hilarious sequences of demons, plus throw in a little, sprinkle a little 80s flavor on top of that. I'm saying this is a classic 4 stabby movie.
Woo! Spot on.
What do you think?
I'm right there, man. I feel like 2 reviews in a row we're landing on the same stabby rating. I gave this one 4 stabs also, and I'm really excited to hear that you liked it because after reading the reviews and so many people kind of knocking this movie, I was really surprised. Somebody on Reddit described this as stupid good fun, and I would actually say that it's actually smart and stupid. Like, I think it's well written. There's some really funny jokes. I thought it was the plot unfolds in an engaging way, and there's just some really fun characters, some really fun one-liners, and it really pays homage to a lot of the great 80s comedy horror movies that we love, and brought into contemporary space, a breath of fresh air in the horror comedy space in 2025. So well done.
Yes,
HBO.
good suggestion. Plus, with the fan base of SlashBack Cinema, I feel like once people hear how good this movie is, millions of people will flood. Some HBO might increase their memberships from people listening to this podcast who are racing to get a subscription or borrow someone's password, as the case may be.
Absolutely. We don't encourage the borrowing of passwords. They're
Right.
going to get all these new subscribers, and they'll track that data and the source link. Oh, we should put something in the podcast link below.
Right. And if you right now go to HBO Plus and type in SlashBack Cinema, you'll get 20% off your HBO subscription for a year. So that's great. Thank you, HBO.
If you do that and it works, let us know. This is not something we've arranged with them.
Shall we play a game?
All right. So we ready to do some trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the trivia game for this movie was inspired by something you said I was re-listening to our episode, and you mentioned something about you ate too many Lucky Charms as a kid. So that made me think of 70s and 80s cereals. And so this week's trivia is all about cereal mascots.
I'm ready for this one. I would just like to preface this bit of trivia as being I share a personal story.
Okay.
When I think of sugary cereal, I think of going to my grandmother's house, who lived in Baltimore, and we'd spend almost every weekend when we were younger. We'd spend Friday or Saturday night, and you wake up the next day, and she had this incredible assortment of all the sugary cereals that my mom wouldn't buy for us. And you'd pour your bowl of sugary cereal, and then she would bring you her bowl of sugar to take with a tablespoon and just layer on even more sugar.
Oh my God.
It was like the toppings.
This episode was sponsored by the American Dental Association.
It's a miracle I don't have diabetes.
Yes, I also had, my aunt had all the cereals. Apple Jacks, I specifically remember that you couldn't find in our home. When I moved out of my parents' house, my first big decision was to buy Lucky Charms, a cereal that I only knew about from fabled these cartoons.
Frosted Lucky Charms.
They're magically delicious.
So here we go. Question
right.
number 1. There's going to be 4 total. What was the career of the mascot from Cookie Crisp cereal? Was the mascot from Cookie Crisp cereal a sea captain, a vampire, a baker, or a criminal?
Oh my God. Wow. It's either connected to the sea or he was a criminal.
Can you
I feel
think
like
of
I'm
any others? Can you think of other cereal mascots that were connected, that were sea captains?
I think I'm blending some here, so I'm going to go with criminal.
Criminal is the correct answer, yes.
Yes.
So sea captain is Captain Crunch.
Okay.
And then the vampire was those monster chocolate cereals. What was it?
Yes. But was it Boo something or other?
There was
Or-
Boo Berry. That was blue.
Franken-
There was Frankenberry. And then
Yeah.
there was Count Chocula.
Yes, Count Chocula.
All right. So that was number 1. You got it right. The Cookie Crisp Bandit was a criminal. All right. What cereal had a frog for a mascot? Was it Honey Smacks, Alphabets, Trix, or Apple Jacks?
Honey Crisp.
That wasn't even one of the options.
What's the first one? Honey Smacks. Honey
Yes.
Smacks.
You got so excited. So that is
I'm mixing my apples with my sugary cereal.
yeah. Here's a little fun fact about Honey Smacks. It used to be called, I think it was it Sugar Smacks? And then they changed it to honey when sugar became bad. And I guess honey was considered good because it was natural.
And I bet you they didn't change the ingredient list in that. That was just
Not
that's
at
called
all.
marketing, kids.
Question number 3. What bird is the mascot for Cocoa Puffs? Toucan Sam, Ricky Robin, Sonny the Cuckoo Bird, or Polly the Penguin? Cocoa Puffs had a bird mascot. Which bird was it?
Cocoa Puffs. See, you're going deep with these here.
Digging deep. Yes.
And-
You want me
and
to
the
read your options again?
The first one's a trap, but okay, yeah, go through them one more time.
It was Toucan Sam, Ricky the Robin, Sonny the Cuckoo Bird, and Polly the Penguin.
I'm gonna go Sunny.
Sonny the Cuckoo Bird he goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yes. Yes.
Well done. All right, question number 4. And I never had this cereal, so I'm really curious if you have any memory of it and you could enlighten us. Maybe was it your grandmother that used to have these sweet cereals?
Oh yes.
Did you say?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, hopefully she had this one.
Grandma
Let's see.
Helen. Yep.
Okay, so in the 1980s, Star Wars had its own cereal. And so my question is, which Star Wars character had his own cereal? And your choices are Leia Cinnabons, number 2, C-3POs, number 3, Chiribacas, and number 4, General Crunch. Which Star Wars character had his own cereal?
Wow. I don't believe I had this at Grandma's house. So I'm gonna go with option B.
Option B was C-3POs.
Yes.
And that is correct.
Yes.
You got 4 out of 4.
Yeah, these were challenging questions. I was threading the needle on a couple of these. So
Yeah.
it feels good to walk away as a winner of the sugary cereal trivia. Like
You're showing your mastery. Did you ever have C-3POs?
I did not, and that was a total guess based on your multiple choice options. It sounded
Right.
the most probable.
New Kellogg C-3POs, twin rings phased together for a crunchy new force at breakfast.
Yeah, Cinnabon.
It's
I
not-
don't know was on the scene when we were at, like little kids eating sugary cereal. I think
Oh.
that came on later. That was a good one though.
Why do you think they were C-3POs? Was he the breakout child character? I would have thought they would have had R2-D2s. Wasn't he the adorable one?
He was the cute, friendly one.
Like
You know,
C-3PO, he had kind of a stick up his ass.
he really did. I think that I was hoping it would have been like Greedo's cereal. You get your own like Han Solo blaster in the box.
Creator cereal. You'll eat first.
Yeah.
That wraps up another trip down memory lane. Hopefully you enjoyed visiting or hearing about the movie The Parenting as much as we enjoyed watching and talking about it.
Don't forget to follow us on our socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, SlashBackCinema.com. Subscribe however you listen to your podcasts, and be sure to give us a review. That's how people find out about us. And, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
And we want to hear from you. So if you have a favorite memory from the 70s or 80s, a classic movie you'd like us to dissect, drop us a line at SlashBackCinema.com, because your suggestions, they keep the conversation alive.
Yes, indeed. Amen, brother. Thanks for tuning in to Slashback Cinema. We'll see you next week.
I noticed in recording the podcast, you clear your throat quite a bit. One episode, I was like, does he have a cold?
No.
Okay, ready?
Let's do it.
Welcome to Slashback Cinema.
Oh, sorry.